inform, educate, and entertain. We invite you to join us.
The following is the preamble of the Constitution of the Bahamas, which was made on June 20th, 1973, and came into operation July 10th, 1973.
Whereas 481 years ago, the rediscovery of this family of islands, rocks and keys, heralded the rebirth of the New World. And whereas the people of this family of islands, recognizing that the preservation of their freedom will be guaranteed by a national commitment to self-discipline, industry, loyalty, unity, and an abiding respect for Christian values and the rule of law. Now, know we therefore, we the inheritors of and successors to this family of islands, recognizing the supremacy of God and believing in the fundamental rights and freedoms of the individual, do hereby proclaim in solemn praise the establishment of a free and democratic sovereign nation, founded on spiritual values, and in which no man, woman, or child shall ever be slave or bondsman to anyone, or their labor exploited, or their lives frustrated by deprivation, and do hereby provide by these articles for the indivisible unity and creation under God of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
The ZNS community page now has its own home on Channel 230. Be sure to tune into this channel to see informative notices, funeral announcements, birthday greetings, and much, much more. So watch the ZNS community channel today on Cable 230.
And we plot using very sophisticated technology, the location, the home, the workplace of these individuals, and then we plot their specific contacts. So case number 1 would have had a certain number of contacts, number 2, a certain number, and so on.
Our intention is that we're going to manage our operations in a prudent way throughout this period until we get into the clear.
They have assigned certain dates for people to go to the stores so that they can keep the numbers of being in contact with other persons down to a minimum.
child counted among local COVID cases as the numbers continue to rise. Good morning, everyone. I'm Akush Lapinder, and welcome to the morning edition. A 9-year-old girl among the 3 new confirmed COVID-19 cases, according to the latest local dashboard on the virus. We can also tell you that the child has no history of travel and is a direct link to COVID case number 8. The other 2 new cases, a 79-year-old male out of New Providence and an 80-year-old resident of Grand Bahama. Both have no history of travel. These new cases putting the total to 24 here in the Bahamas, 1 in Bimini, 5 in Grand Bahama, and the remaining 18 in the capital. Health officials further revealing that case number 17, a 67-year-old woman, is under investigation, and that case number 18, a 72-year-old healthcare worker, is in hospital in the intensive care unit. Globally, the number of confirmed COVID cases stand at just over 1 million, with 52,982 deaths and over 212,000 recoveries. Now, to ensure the required health care is provided for COVID-19 patients, funding is being allocated for special in-house clinical needs. Minister of Health, the Honorable Dr. Dwayne Sand, says as early as this weekend, upgrades will begin on designated facilities.
We are going to be building a modular facility, just like we have built one at Princess Margaret Hospital. We will start that probably this weekend. And we will also retrofit the Cancer Association building so that we can have the same types of rooms to manage patients as we have at the South Beach Clinic, Doctors Hospital East, Doctors Hospital West. Those plans and the funding, some $1 million+ have been identified, and we're going to be moving very quickly.
Meantime, the increasing number of COVID-19 cases leading Doctors Hospital to suspend its visiting hours with immediate effect. Now, in place of in-person visitation, patients are instead encouraged to use their cell phones and the hospital's Wi-Fi to communicate with loved ones. Teleconferencing kiosks will be provided for those patients who have trouble doing that on their own. Doctors Hospital stressing that exceptions may occur, but this will be evaluated on a case-by-case basis. For instance, women in labor or visits to the emergency room. Meantime, we're hearing from Transport Minister, the Honorable Renwood Wells, on the cruise ship industry, assuring that the Bahamas is doing what it can to provide support in the face of this unprecedented crisis. Minister Wells says intergovernmental contact has been made and safe methods of resupply of its fly cruise vessels that were running critically low on provisions, medical supplies and medical personnel have been devised. The Bahamas, he said, has also provided shelter under carefully controlled conditions for a number of vessels seeking shelter in our waters. Meantime, access to give those sheltering vessels, irrespective of country of registry, in the process accommodating ships of a number of flags. Meantime, more than 1 million COVID-19 cases have been registered globally. In China, there are reports of new infections near Hubei province, where the outbreak actually began. We're getting more details on the ground in China. Talking to us is Ambassador to the People's Republic of China, His Excellency Sterling Quant.
Beijing is now opening up as business activities are coming to life. All public gatherings have been outlawed from January 24th, and they are still discouraged. Here at the embassy, we try to stay on top of the incoming calls to us through our emergency line, and the emails are monitored daily. The embassy is in contact with our students and citizens in China and the surrounding countries, in particular South Korea and the Philippines. We have also been in contact with one of our students here in China, but who is presently stuck in Germany.
Now, the ambassador says the local embassy in China continues to reach out to Bahamians who are all said to be doing well. However, he admits travel is a concern.
We do have a few persons talking about returning to the Bahamas, but as all borders are closed, therefore the persons have to remain where they are for the time being. We do post regular updates on the diaspora chat group to keep persons informed of the latest directives. It has been an occasion for Bahamians to register with the embassy who are in the area. And I must say, there have been quite a few persons who have come forth who we didn't even know who were in Beijing, in China, and in the other countries close by.
Border closure on the local scene also sparking mounting concerns for Bahamians stranded in parts of the United States. Just over 100 local residents are in limbo in South Florida. They include students, those seeking medical attention, and who traveled to Florida for non-essential purposes after mid-March. The Bahamian Consul General's office in the areas assisting many of them with accommodation and other needs. Coming up, a conversation with a Bahamian in lockdown in Spain when the morning edition returns.
Self-isolation means taking simple steps to avoid close contact with other people as much as possible, as you would with the seasonal flu. If you've been in close contact with somebody confirmed with COVID-19 or suspect that you have it, self-isolate for 14 days. You can self-isolate by staying indoors and away from family for 14 days. Choose a well-ventilated room with a closed door. Household members should stay in a different room, or if that is not possible, maintain a distance of at least 3 feet. Use a sealed waste basket and double bag your waste before disposal. Limit movement in your house. Stay in your assigned space away from the rest of the household. The caretaker will bring food and anything else you need. Use separate cookery and cutlery. Use a separate bathroom and clean it regularly. Use separate towels, separate cleaning linens, and clothing. If you are in need of care by household members, limit the number of caregivers. Assign one person who is in good health and has minimum risk conditions. Most importantly, remember, do not invite others over. Should you or anyone you know feel that you've been exposed to the coronavirus, contact the COVID-19 hotline at the Ministry of Health immediately. To reach us, call 376-9350, 376-9387, 300-2619, or our 24-hour hotline at 502-7382. For more information, visit covid19.gov.bs.
This public service announcement was brought to you by the Ministry of Health and this television station.
Launch authorization received. Countdown.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition.
My dear students, the Ministry of Education wants to ensure that your education continues while you're on this break away from school. It is important that you continue with your lessons. Therefore, we would like for you to go to the Ministry of Education's webpage and register. That's the Ministry of Education Bahamas.com and register on the Virtual Learning tab. Go to the Ministry of Education webpage, that is Ministry of Education Bahamas.com, and register on the Virtual Learning tab. Very important that you continue your education.
Welcome back. It's just under 2 weeks for locals regarding a curfew. One Bahamian student talks about how he's coping with an ongoing 24-hour curfew in Spain. Now at day 21, Duran Ching says while it has been difficult, he's doing all he can to remain safe. Our Lloyd Allen spoke with him via Skype.
Well, for hundreds of Bahamians who remain within borders as we continue under these 24-hour curfews and other measures to clamp down and attack this issue of COVID-19, there are several Bahamians who remain outside of these borders. One of them is Duran Ching. He's in Murcia, Spain. That's about 3 hours drive away from the capital in Madrid. Good morning, Duran. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good.
So talk to us. Obviously, you've been under a 24-hour lockdown for some time. How have you been addressing that?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank God for keeping me safe, because it's been really hard here. We've been on a 24-hour lockdown for 20 days straight so far. I've only stepped outside my house twice since then, and to be honest, I'm going crazy in this house. I've taken the necessary precautions. I've gotten my gloves, I've gotten my mask, I've made sure I got some bleach, some cleaning supplies. So I try to keep my house clean like 3 times a week. But yeah, I'm just social distancing myself because they implemented a law saying that, oh, you're not allowed to go outside unless it's to the grocery store.
Now, your government, the government there in Spain, what measures have they put in place to ensure that Spain residents remain indoors and continue to follow those guidelines to really attack this issue of COVID-19?
Well, what they're doing is that they have assigned certain days for people to go to the stores so that they can keep the numbers of being in contact with other persons down to a minimum. Also, some of them come to your door to ask you how are you doing and everything in their hazmat suits. They give you supplies and everything as well, and they just implement to say, okay, make sure you stay inside, make sure you don't get in contact with people, stay 6 feet away if necessary. So that's what they've been doing.
Now, here in the capital and in the Bahamas, we've been, according to some police officers, we've been a bit challenged with all Bahamians really following those guidelines, remaining indoors, off the streets. And so what advice would you offer to locals when it comes to really tackling this issue of COVID-19?
What I really would tell them is to listen. Because one thing about Bahamians, we always take things for a joke before it gets serious. So I would want them to listen, and the longer you don't listen, the more cases you're gonna get. So stay inside, and the longer that you stay inside, the quicker the virus is gonna dissipate, and you're gonna be able to go outside and go about your daily lives. So just stay inside, people. That's all.
Now, you also said that you've been doing some things on the inside to keep yourself occupied, tuning in to some local DJs. Talk to us about that experience.
Yeah, I've been listening to Overdose Radio. He's a local DJ back home. He's 19 years old, and every night he's been doing the Curfew. So I've been tuning into him. I've just been getting my flag, dancing around, doing entertainment for other Bahamians too, because I know how hard it is to be inside your house for 24 hours and you can't even step outside your house. So, knowing me, I'm energetic, I'm hyper, I'm kind of funny, so I just give them entertainment so they can have something to look forward to.
Now, Duran, you're also in Spain, obviously at university. How have your classes been adjusted now that they're completely online?
Now that my classes are online, it's been really hard for online classes because one, you're in your house and then you have to go to class. You're already in that state of I'm comfortable. Like classes are hard to do, and then listening to the teacher while they talk. And then when they ask you questions, they don't have our video or our audio on, so you have to keep typing them to give them feedback. So it's kind of challenging to actually put your input into it. But I've been coping.
Thank you for speaking with us.
You're welcome. Anytime.
All right. Of course, that was Duran Ching calling in via Zoom and talking to us about his experience as they're in Spain. They're undergoing a 24-hour curfew as they tackle the issue of COVID-19.
Well, thanks, Lloyd. You're with the Morning Edition, and this morning we're pleased to pass on tips for you all parenting infant and toddlers under present circumstances. Joining us this morning, then, is Dr. Marcia Bassett, consultant pediatrician and chief of service in the Department of Pediatrics at the Princess Margaret Hospital. Welcome, Dr. Bassett.
Thank you so much.
I think first things first, are babies and children more at risk of contracting COVID?
So the answer to that is yes. I think in the not so distant past, we were thinking that maybe they were not, because we hadn't been hearing much about cases in infants and children. But even in the news this morning, you report that we have a case here in the Bahamas. Infants and children can contract COVID-19, and we have to protect them the way we are protecting ourselves as adults. We have heard that they have not had very severe cases, not very many, but we know that they get infected. There are those who have severe infections, and we have heard of deaths in pediatrics as well.
On that note then, how should we manage with bringing home a new baby in this environment?
So I know that new parents are very stressed during this time, especially for first-time parents. This can be a very difficult time. They don't have their social support. Grandparents can't come over. I think what we have to do is remember the two overriding principles. Number one, social distancing. So we shouldn't have grandparents, friends, people over just to visit our new baby. And number two is good hygiene practices. So wash hands, wash hands, wash hands, wash hands, wash hands. But being practical for a new mom, I want to remind them, one, babies cry. That's the way they communicate with us. And so, you know, use all the techniques in your momentarium to soothe them, you know, singing and rocking and swaddling and all those good things. And when you can't get them to soothe and you're kind of at your wit's ends, put them down for a minute and take a break. And I also want to tell new moms that it is okay for them to take a break, get some me time, put your feet up, have a cup of tea, take a long bath, but also to engage the other people in your household. Let dad give a feed, get those older toddlers involved so they can bring diapers or help you throw things in the garbage. And then, you know, your pediatrician is always available to answer questions for you as well.
Now, speaking of toddlers, you know, they're the rambunctious group. So, first of all, what do we do to keep them healthy?
So, in general, for your household, keeping your household healthy, again, the overriding principles. One, of social distancing. So this is not the time for play dates and sleepovers and to go ask Grammy to babysit them for just a couple of minutes. Grandparents, really, we should be protecting them. So keeping them away from our toddlers, unfortunately, especially if they are over 60 and if they have any medical conditions. But also at home, you want to do things like enforce washing hands. We want to make sure we wipe down and disinfect all our surfaces. We want to make sure those toys get cleaned, the stuffed toys, the ones that they run around and put in their mouths. We want to just make sure that everything in the house, as much as we can, keep clean. Toddlers, though, you know, they touch, they put things in their mouth, so we have to be extra careful with them.
Yeah, it's easier said than done.
Absolutely.
So in terms of hand washing techniques, what is a good approach to making it all sink into them?
So teaching a toddler to wash their hands is probably one of the best things you can do, because this is something that they're gonna remember for all of their life. So you have to make it fun because they're toddlers. We recommend that you remember the principles of hand washing. Like, that sounds like very fancy, but it's not really. So you let them wet, lather, so put on soap, then you scrub. And scrubbing you have to make fun, because if not, they just let the water run over. So scrub, you rub and scrub and rub and scrub and rub and scrub, and you want to do that for 20 seconds. You've heard, I'm sure, them talking about happy birthday twice. So rub and scrub and rub and scrub, and then you rinse and dry. So you make that a part of their everyday, you know, before they eat, after they've been playing, of course, after they go to the bathroom, and you make it become such a routine that it becomes a fun game. That's the best way to teach toddlers about washing their hands.
You talk about games. What else can we do with toddlers at home? You know, they're away from school, to get them, I guess, interested again in what they should be doing in the classroom, and not to fall too far behind when they eventually return.
Yay, happy day. So I think the best advice I can give parents of toddlers is to try to keep a routine at home. So routine and toddlers go together. So make sure it may take a little bit of planning on the parent part, but you have to make sure that you have a time to wake up, some kind of, you know, have breakfast, some kind of morning activity. Decide when it's going to be lunch, and some afternoon activity. I'm hoping that either your morning activity or your afternoon activity involves going outside and playing, right? Carry your ball and your toys outside, gardening toys. Remind them to wash hands, wash hands, wash hands, clean their toys before they come inside. And wash hands when they get back inside. So some routine to their day keeps them a little more sane and not keep them bouncing off the wall so much.
And keep the parents sane.
Keep the parents sane, yes.
You talk about taking them outside to play. And I know there are some parents who probably are adverse to even going outside, but how long should they be outside? Is there a certain time limit?
So I wouldn't put a time limit on being outside if you are in your own home environs. Mm-hmm. So I think it's okay for kids to go outside. They should go outside. They need some fresh air. They need to run, get rid of some of that energy so that you can be all right in the evening. So yes, it's okay for them to go outside. And like I said earlier, carry their toys out, ride their bikes, let them kick their balls, anything that'll keep them occupied for a little bit of time. That's perfectly okay.
Now, I know you said in terms of newborns, cut out the visitations that typically happen around this time for a newborn. That's the same applies in the case of a toddler, correct?
Same applies for toddler. We want to remember social distancing, so no play dates, no sleepovers. They should only play within the confines of their environment. So with their siblings, at home, I would not recommend play dates.
There is a lot of talk about wearing masks. Do you advise children to put on masks as well? And children as young as, let's say, in the toddler range?
So, wearing masks has become a very controversial subject. And I don't know that there is any data to say yes or no. The new thing out in the last couple of days, and even in the States, the CDC is talking about maybe when you go out, you should wear a mask, even if it's a homemade mask, one made of cloth. I would say to parents they need to individualize that recommendation to see, first of all, kids shouldn't be going out a lot, but if they go out, whether they should be wearing a mask, I think is up to the parent. But remember that toddlers don't like things on their face, so I think that's going to be a difficult task, but it really has to be individual. And I do want to say one last thing about our recommendations and being individual is that parents really have to decide how best they want to safeguard their families. And so all of these recommendations we give, you have to adapt to your own family and make sure that you protect them the best way you can.
Okay, just to get the message across, if I were to go out to run an errand, can they go with me?
Good question. So in general, we would prefer that kids stay at home. But we know in our social circumstances there may be parents who need to take their kids with them. In the best scenario, I would say if you have another adult with you who could stay with them in the car, that would be ideal for me. I would prefer that you not take them to the food store or, out to the drugstore or where there are going to be more people than we would like them to be in contact with.
And one last question, just going back to the mask, if a parent were to opt to have a child wear a mask, do you think it's better to have the cloth ones or something of a different material? I know they have different material.
So we have been recommending in the community, if you're just moving about, maybe a cloth mask is okay. Remember, we are trying to protect you from me and me from you. So I think in the current recommendations, a cloth mask could probably be okay. It is difficult for me to recommend anything more than that because we really are trying to reserve as much equipment as we can for our medical providers in the hospital.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Bassett. Some wonderful information there. Stay with the Morning Edition. We have more coming up for you when we return. public service announcement is brought to you by the Communications section of the Ministry of Education in conjunction with the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas.
The Ministry of Education, in conjunction with the Ministry of Health, advises students, teachers, administrators, and staff to adhere to the following steps in an effort to minimize the risk of COVID-19, also known as the coronavirus. Step 1. Be sure to wash hands before and after you eat, after using the bathroom, touching money, shaking hands, or emptying the trash. You may also use hand sanitizers throughout the day. Frequently wash hands with soap and water for 20 seconds and rinse with clean water. Dry hands with clean paper towels. Step 2. Cough or sneeze into your elbow or sleeve and not into your hands or into the ear. Or cover your nose or mouth with a tissue. Immediately dispose of the tissue into the trash. Be sure to wash your hands thoroughly afterwards. Step 3. Do not drink from the same cans, bottles, or cups of other persons. Do not share eating utensils, such as forks and spoons. Do not share school supplies, such as pencils or pens. Step 4. Germs can live on many surfaces. Be sure to wipe and disinfect desks, school supplies, railings, and other surfaces that are regularly touched by others. Step 5. Avoid close contact with anyone who is coughing and sneezing. Let's do what we can to help minimize the risk of the coronavirus.
This public service announcement is brought to you by the Communications section of the Ministry of Education in conjunction with the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas. The Central Bank of the Bahamas enforcing social distancing guidelines by operating all its business online. And according to Central Bank Governor John Rowe, online operations have been working well.
Well, normal is not anytime soon, and I think we have to distinguish between normalcy in terms of being able to get out and move around a bit as soon as things start to loosen up, and normal in terms of getting to a point where there's a vaccine in place for this virus. So our intention is that we're going to manage our operations in a prudent way throughout this period until we get into the clear. But we also see coming out of this the opportunities for some permanent changes in the way we do business so that we can take advantage of more flexibility in our work arrangements.
Well, as the country monitors the pandemic, amendments made to the emergency orders include the suspension of services at private and dental offices, unless, of course, there is an emergency. Well, a local dentist says the move was not only needed, but can and will help in stopping the spread of COVID-19. Shashina Rowe-Farquharson reports.
Dr. Catherine Adderley, Director of Dentistry for the Grand Bahama Health Services, applauding the Prime Minister's move to extend the emergency order to eliminate all routine and non-emergency physical encounters with patients at private and dental practices while using virtual or remote means.
What I've realized over the last few weeks that we've been under this emergency order is that I think lay people don't understand the danger posed by visiting your dentist for routine things at this time. We have to really look at where the virus is coming from. And one of the number one places where you can find viral particles is in the mouth, the droplets coming from basically the nose and the mouth. So we know that's a hot spot in your body for the virus. So it baffles me as to why people think that's somewhere that, they need to have work done at this time for non-emergency. So I think it's wonderful. People underestimate the danger involved in doing routine dental work at this time.
She says that the first week the country was placed under the emergency order, there was an uptick in persons going to her dental office to have non-emergency work done.
It's 3 to 6 feet, 6 feet recommended. Well, dentistry is practiced in very close quarters, 6 inches. So it immediately, 6 inches to a foot. So that immediately violates any social distancing and puts the public in close contact with the healthcare workers and puts the healthcare workers in unnecessary close contact with the public. these aerosols, that see, people are very concerned about the virus hanging in the air. Well, it's already been shown that, you know, the particles can hang in the air from 30 minutes and upwards. And one of the other main sources that people don't think about is those dental aerosols. So, like, you could come in the office and get some work done, and the same particles that got sprayed out of your mouth are still hanging in the air for the next person when they come in.
To make it clear, she says there are only a few dental emergencies.
Severe pain, severe swelling, any persistent bleeding from the mouth, or trauma, such as broken jaw, broken teeth that cause bleeding, things like that. But anything that doesn't fall into one of those 4 basic categories is not truly a dental emergency. But what we're advising patients to do right now is that the new amendment to the order allows dental offices to be open for emergencies. So the first thing you should do is contact your dental practitioner.
And with 50 medical workers already impacted by COVID-19 through exposure to the virus, she says this is a very serious time and stresses the point that residents must take these stay-at-home orders seriously.
And particularly in Grand Bahama, the pool that we have to draw from is not that great. So if nationwide we have 50 people out of the healthcare system already, that leaves less people to care for you. In the public setting in Grand Bahama, we have 1 dentist right now in the public setting. So if I get sick, then there's no one to attend to you. And so that is very concerning, both from a dental standpoint for me, because we literally have to work so close to people, but also too from a public health standpoint, is that it's the public's responsibility to help keep healthcare workers safe as well at this time.
Well, the impact of COVID-19 is also making its presence felt in the traditional activities of the religious community. Palm Sunday marking the start of Holy Week, but will it be the same? With us this morning is Anglican Archdeacon Keith Cartwright from St. Agnes Anglican Church. Father Cartwright, welcome.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here.
It's wonderful. Yeah. Let's first take a look at the significance behind Palm Sunday. Like I noted, it's the start of the Holy Week.
It certainly is the start of Holy Week, and of course, you know, we have been journeying from Ash Wednesday with our 40-day wilderness experience, and it has been a wilderness experience for us in the Bahamas in these later weeks of Lent. And we come to the final portion of those 40 days, starting with Palm Sunday, with Jesus' triumphant entry into Jerusalem. And of course, all over the world, Christians reenact that triumphant entry with the blessing and distribution of palms and the traditional Palm Sunday procession, and then the liturgy continues thereafter. And so in our Anglican church, and I'm sure in other mainline churches, we have been encouraging persons to begin preparations for Palm Sunday by getting a palm branch out of their yards or their little gardens, whatever, or some greenery, and having that prepared for when we begin our Palm Sunday service. Actually, Palm Sunday services will be coming from St. Agnes Church. We had to do the service with, taped the service with less than 10 people, and that will be coming on ZNS at 11 o'clock on Sunday. And you'll see what we have asked our persons to do, and we'll have the traditional Palm Sunday liturgy. So, and then all through Holy Week, we will have Monday, Thursday service coming from Christ Church Cathedral, and that will be with less than 10 persons, and with the Dean, and that will be at 8 o'clock on Thursday evening. Then Good Friday, there'll be the service coming from Holy Trinity, and that will be a service on Good Friday morning. And then Holy Saturday evening, there'll be a service coming from Christ the King here in New Providence. And then on Easter Sunday, via ZNS, there will also be a service coming from Christ Church Cathedral at 11 o'clock. And so in our church, we have already booked ahead of time TV's spaces on ZNS and Cable Bahamas, and using our diocesan website and so on. So those will be the ways in which we hope to be able to get across to our members. Now, what we have also initiated during this period is a diocesan-wide morning devotion that we have taped and used via our diocesan website and also via WhatsApp with the pastors, each of our pastors, distributing the WhatsApp messages to all of their church groups and friends and members.
Now, I know you said you have encouraged parishioners to gather branches.
Yes.
I know in the Catholic Church, that branch should be affixed to the door on Palm Sunday. You know, it's quite a departure from what regularly happened in terms of parishioners being given palms once they reach the church and walking around the perimeter of the church or in the neighboring community.
The procession, yes.
What other changes has COVID-19 I guess, brought to bear on this entire week, a significant time in the church's calendar?
Well, the biggest challenge is getting the liturgies of the individual holy days out to the people. And, you know, they have been, those who are very faithful Christians who practice their faith, they all come to the church, and these are very symbolic things that are done. And so it's a very, very difficult task for us now to transfer that to the television or to the internet or to the WhatsApp or whatever. So that's the biggest challenge. And then, you know, when people are together, it brings a certain atmosphere. And so, but we have to remember that the church is not the building, but it is you and I. When you're baptized, you're made a part of Christ, and you are made of a part of Christ's body, which is the church. So we are the church. And so we have to readjust by saying, well, look, I am a part of Jesus Christ. Wherever I am, I'm confined now in my home. I'm taking the best advice. I'm trying my best to not help to spread this virus. Let me stay at home, and let me, as the church, worship in my home, using all the necessary things that we have been able to share with our church members at the time.
On that note, then, how difficult has it been for you pastoring during this period?
Well, it has been extremely difficult because, first of all, as a pastor, at least being a pastor for over 38 years, I'm used to being close with people physically in terms of being next to them in their time of trouble, being able to listen to them close by. And in many cases, particularly in very trying times, the priest really has to touch you, bless you on your forehead, anoint you in the case of sickness, shake your hand, give you a hug, and be a comforting spirit next to you. And this has been a tremendous challenge for us as Christians, because we are a contact church where people really get together. And so this is a tremendous difficulty for us as Christians.
Would you say then that, is it safe to presume to say that this is a test of faith, and not only for your congregants or your parishioners, but for you yourself?
Well, yes, but I try to comfort my parishioners over the phone or during my WhatsApp messages by saying to them, remember, before Jesus began the most important thing that he came to earth for, his ministry for those 3 years, he had a 40-day wilderness experience. And maybe this is what God is saying to us. We need a wilderness experience. We need to be quiet. We need to be still and to reflect and really repent in many ways when we compare what God expects of us and what we really have been doing ourselves, and say, look, I've got to do better. And look at home and family life. More than ever before, we in the Bahamas need to emphasize home and family life. We have been saying that this is the root cause of so many of our societal problems. And if we only get back to the basics of home and family life, use this time to repair home and family life, the relationships at home, build those relationships. And then when we emerge after this period of wilderness, then we can be a better Bahamas.
Your church lies in the inner city area.
Yes, it does.
Would you say, from your experience, because I know you haven't spent your entire time there,
Yes.
Would you say that it's, having observed things, how are residents in that area observing the curfew?
Well,
are they taking heed?
Yes, well, it has been an extremely challenging time in the Grantstown, the inner city areas of New Providence. Because of the sheltering facilities that our people have, very small homes, some of them not adequate, people basically are on top of people. They're living in close quarters. And so with the heat and with people having to be forced to be indoors, it's extremely difficult for the Grantstown and Baytown communities for them to remain at home. And so at the initial beginning, many of them were spilling over into the streets. Unfortunately, many of them were not doing the right sort of things. Many of them were choosing to have alcoholic beverages and have a party atmosphere. It has quieted down somewhat, but it is still not where we ought to be. And so we urge our people to try to be as innovative as possible, to try and stay home, try to stay calm, try to stay doing little things in the small yards that they have, and do as best they can. But please, please stay at home.
Well, you have it there from Anglican Archdeacon Keith Cartwright, who is joining us here on the Morning Edition. Thank you so much, Archdeacon Cartwright. Well, we continue our pastoral motivation with a senior pastor of the Word Church, Dr. Clement Neely.
This is Dr. Clement Neely, Senior Pastor of the Word Church in Nassau, Bahamas. And I have a very important message for you today. The message that I have for you is a message of hope. I want to give you three things that I want you to remember today. The first thing I want you to remember is we are not to be afraid. The Bible says in Psalm 46, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in time of trouble. Then David says in Psalm 27, the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? We have a privilege that we can put our trust in a God who is sovereign, who controls all things. The second message I have for you today is the message of being positive. You know, perspective in life is a valuable asset. You can look at a negative situation and you can see the positives in it. I want to encourage you, in the midst of all of the limitations and the things that you think you have to complain about, that you ought to look around and see the positives in this, that God is allowing you time to fellowship and spend time with families, and it's a time where we can see so much positives coming out of it. So we choose not to complain. We choose to keep the right perspective. And finally, I would encourage you today to let's abide by all of the laws and the regulations that have been imposed upon us. It's for our protection. They are operating with our interest in mind. So let me encourage you, don't allow this season to be a time of depression and distress. We're going to come through this. God is still on the throne. God is sovereign. We will rise from this. In fact, I would encourage you to let this be your time in the laboratory. And when you are introduced again to the world, show the world what you've been working on in your quiet moments. May the Lord bless you. May He keep you. May He make His face to shine upon you. We're going to rise. We're going to be okay. God is with us. The Lord bless you and keep you, is my prayer.
Let's get it right, Bahamas. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay 6 feet apart. Remember to always practice physical distancing.
This public service announcement was brought to you by the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture and this television station.
Now to our daily commute as our Lloyd Allen seeks some key traffic answers this morning. Lloyd?
The traffic report is sponsored by Bahamas First. First in insurance. Today, tomorrow.
Yes, good morning again. We're here this morning near the intersection of East Street and Robinson Road. Police say that this has turned out to be a hot spot when it comes to persons remaining on the streets during this ongoing 24-hour curfew. This morning, we're going to talk to Officer Patrick Camp from the Royal Bahamas Police Force Traffic Division, who's going to talk about some of those reasons that persons have been giving as to why they've been on the streets during the curfew and what can be done as it relates to ongoing efforts.
Good morning, Mr. Lloyd, and good morning, Bahamas. During this week, we've made a number of arrests through the streets of Nassau, particularly in the area of Robinson Road and East Street. And it's due to the fact that persons are not taking this pandemic serious. Persons are still choosing through the streets past curfew, and this is a serious problem. During the course of this week, we've arrested a number of persons, and we're going to continue to arrest a number of persons who refuse to adhere to the law that is in place. Persons are coming out in the area, especially of Robinson Road and East Street, and they're using these side corners to choice and to make runs that has no valid reasons for being out on the streets. We have persons who are saying stuff along the lines of they're going to drop food off to their parents, drop food off to their loved ones. We have persons who are even catering to their other homes. This is a no-no, all right? The law is in effect, and we are mandated to carry out those laws, and we're going to enforce the law. And if you're caught, you will be dealt with according to the law. And even during this time, I want the people, drivers to know that doesn't mean that you can still break the laws. Seatbelt is still a requirement. Driving with your cell phones while on your cell phone is still a no-no. These things are still in effect. Vehicles that are on the streets that are not licensed and insured, you will still be ticketed and still be dealt with according to the law. And persons, again, be asking for your support during this time.
And of course, a personal appeal coming in there from Officer Camp from the Royal Bahamas Police Force Traffic Division. Now, beyond the legal ramification, he's asking all Bahamians to really oblige by that curfew, remain indoors, and to ensure the nation to attack this issue of COVID-19. I'm Lloyd Allen reporting here from East Street and Robinson Road. Charles Fisher, back to you in studio.
Well, thanks a lot, Lloyd. We are going to get a quick workout this morning from downtown. Natasha Brown, it's been a hectic, stress week. And Natasha, we are countering with the senior citizens, the disability this morning.
Yes, persons who are disabled. And good morning to all. So what, just really basic, if you are confined to the chair and you're able to stand up, and those persons who have, a situation with hands or foot, but you're still able to stand, what you can start to do is just nice alternating arm movements. And what this does is it gets the body moving, a little cardio here. And you want to do this for about 30 times, 15 reps per arm. So once you're feeling good, and you're comfortable, you're excited, and you think you're warmed up, then you can take it into some stretches where you bring the feet together, the elbows come all the way, keeping the back nice and straight. And if you're able to take the elbows right in the center of the thighs above the knees, this is good, making sure the back is straight. Then you can take the right hand outside the foot, extend the left hand out to the side, and this will definitely warm up and stretch the back out. Bring it back together to the center, hold it. Now let's take the left hand outside the foot, extend the hand forward. Great. Now you can bring both hands together, right here at the back, on the sides of the ears, and you simply lean forward and sit back up, making sure the elbows are extended and you're breathing very relaxed. Your core is tight. And let's take this down again here. You can make your reps anywhere between 15 to 25. Great. Now you can tap, come up, back, right outside, and take it here. If for whatever reasons movement is limited, keep the hands here and just allow the elbows to tap right on top or on the outside of the knee. Always making sure that you come back up and that you maintain good posture. Let's do this for the last 2 times here. And bring it right here. Take the hands out, close together, forward, open back up, together. Open back up, take it over the head, take it out to the side, and bring it forward. Always maintaining good posture.
Well, thanks a lot, Downtown Natasha Brown. Now, we were saying that most people may be working in small space, so we're going to do some creative next week. We're going to try and take some of the workouts outside. So once again, you can go on our Facebook page and look at the workouts throughout the week and then do them. But coming up next week, we're going to try and take it on the outside so some of you can get that so-called fresh air. We're now going to go back on the streets to Lloyd Island.
Well, thanks a lot, Mr. Charles Fisher. This morning, we're here near the intersection of East Street and Wolf Road, right opposite the Western Union. As you can see behind me, that line is out the door. Many persons waiting, hoping to get on the inside. It's been like this the entire week, according to officials on the inside, as persons have been lining up before 6 a.m. This establishment doesn't open until 9, and their operational hours are from 9 to 1. Now, as we arrived on the scene this morning, we observed a police vehicle making a plea to these people to recognize social distancing. But as you can see behind me, that's not been established. And just a few moments ago, one of the managers came on the outside making a further plea to those persons, asking them to separate so that they can better assist them. She said that their security officer was not on duty as yet. And so, again, those challenges remain here on site. As you can see, traffic is backed up. Many persons even traversing this area find it hard to pass through as the lines continue with cars and the lines continue with people attempting to send monies to their families abroad. As I've observed the line as well, many of those persons seem to be foreign nationals, residents living here in the Bahamas. Whether they're confirmed or not, that's beyond me. But again, the challenge continues for Western Union as they seek to assist more than several dozen people hoping to get on the inside and process those fees to send those abroad. But I reported to you guys back there in studio, Lloyd Allen for the morning edition.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, your hottest place on the planet for rims, tints, tires, and auto sales. We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Track Lights, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires. Cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king. Blessed luck.
The Ministry of Health is working to ensure the safety of the Bahamian people. Help us minimize the risk that coronavirus poses to citizens, residents, and visitors by following these 5 easy steps. Step 1. Wet your hands with clean water, apply soap and lather for 20 seconds by rubbing them together. Include the top of your hands between your fingers and under your fingernails. Rinse your hands under clean water, then dry them with a paper towel or air dry them. Remember to wash your hands before and after eating, preparing a meal, changing a diaper, or caring for the sick, and always after using the bathroom, touching money, shaking hands, or taking out the trash. Step 2. Cough and sneeze in your elbow or upper sleeve, not in your hands, not in the air. Or you can cover your nose and mouth with a tissue when you cough or sneeze. Put your used tissue in the trash bin when you're finished. Remember to wash your hands with soap and clean water after you cough or sneeze. Also, remember never to spit on the ground, roads, or in open spaces. Step 3. Ensure that raw meat is properly handled and cooked thoroughly. Step 4. Avoid sharing drinking glasses, eating utensils like spoons and forks, or
It is time for our morning forecast, and we woke up to some wintry type temperatures. 59 degrees it got down to overnight, and right now outside of our studios we have a temperature of 64 degrees under partly sunny skies. Relative humidity 87% with calm winds. The barometric pressure 1,015.3 millibars. That's 29.99 inches, and the pressure is rising. Temperatures around the islands this morning: Marshall, Babico at 68 degrees, 67 in Grand Key, Freeport at 67, the Berry Islands 70 degrees. Allenstown, Bimini, 68, 72 in Harbor Island. Roxanne, Eleuthera also reporting 72 degrees. Otterstown, Cadalla, 71. 73 in Stanley Key, Kemps Bay, St. Andrews at 73. In Fresh Creek, Central Andrews, the mercury column just around 72 degrees. 71 in San Salvador and Rum Key in Ragged Island. Clarencetown, Long Island, Crooked Island, 73 degrees there. Betsy Bay, Maguana, 75. Ackland, 75 degrees. Matchetown and Nagua, 77. And the Turks and Caicos Islands at 76 degrees. And once again, just in case there are some outbound flights this morning, we'll hear some high and low temperatures you're likely to find at selected cities.
Bounce off the wall, get out the reggae and the dance hall. Break and scrape, give me junk and party people. This one is just for you. I want you to feel that rhythm, bounce off the wall, get out the reggae and the dance hall. Break and scrape, give me junk and party people. This one is just for you.
And that's going to do it for your travel forecast. Now for your boating forecast for today. For all areas, north to northeast winds 10 to 15 knots, wave heights at 2 to 4 feet. Low tide, well, that will take place later on this morning at 10:40 with the high tide at 4:36 this afternoon. And your satellite picture is showing that fall boundary finally moved to the south of us, but leaving behind some cloudiness over the Turks and Caicos Islands. Also in Nagua, having some cloudy skies there as well. Over the northwestern central islands, that high pressure will remain anchored right through the weekend, so the weekend is looking very well weather-wise. Our forecast for today, mostly sunny and pretty nice with a high temperature of 80 degrees. And tonight we're looking at clear skies and somewhat on the chilly side with a low temperature getting down to 62 degrees. And the extended weather forecast, as we said, lots of sunshine through the weekend, and that will take us into the middle part of next week. Daytime temperatures once again just hanging there in the low 80s with some mid-60s during the nighttime.
Well, thanks, Basil. Well, as we've been saying for days now, keeping a positive mind is certainly key. For your daily dose of positivity while in lockdown, take a look at this.
Right foot, let's stomp. Left foot, let's stomp. Charlie Brown. Coming out now.
Y'all gonna make me lose my mind. Up in here, up in here.
We stay here for you. Please stay home for us.
This is how I join my curfew. But I want to say for everybody around the world, to be safe, listen to the Prime Minister. I want everybody across the Bahamas, take care of what he have to say. Enjoy your rest of your curfew in your house. Have fun, celebrate. To all the ZNS family, to everybody, to y'all, be safe with your do. You do an excellent job. Keep up the good work. That's what I'm doing to keep myself safe. So, may God bless you, Bahamas. Please, people, stay indoors.
Again, just a reminder, keep those videos and pictures coming in on how you're passing the time in the government-imposed lockdown, or if you want to salute those on the front line. Again, the number is 477-0546. And before we go, just want to wish a very happy birthday to my princess who's turning 7 today, Chase Bailey Marie. Happy birthday. For the morning edition, I'm Makush Lapindo, wishing you all a fabulous Friday and certainly a safe weekend.
Taking this party into beast mode. So tell the DJ, turn up the bass. Me and my girls gonna mash up the place. So come on, the coats can drum. It's time for us to have fun. On the front lines of me, boy, lick the drums for me. Hands in the air, give me the rhythm. I know you was a bunny. All through the night of me. Hands in the air, give me. Blaze up the rhythm. Feel that rhythm, the rhythm, the rhythm. Feel that rhythm, bounce off the wall. Feel that rhythm, the rhythm, the rhythm.
You're watching the ZNS Network, the People's Station.
Tonight's You and Your Money is brought to you by the Central Bank of the Bahamas, the Ministry of Finance, Fidelity Bank, and Sun Oil Limited.
Good evening, Bahamas, and welcome to You and Your Money. I'm your host for this evening show, Javon Butler. The Bahamas is presently facing a two-tiered war with COVID-19. The first being the health and preservation of Bahamian lives, and the second, the health and preservation of the Bahamian economy. As the Ministry of Health, the Public Hospital Authority, and the medical professionals are at the front line combating this pandemic, the Ministry of Finance, led by this evening's guests, are at the command center navigating an economic strategy to protect the financial state of our economy. Our guest this evening is the Honorable K. Peter Turnquest, Deputy Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas and the Minister of Finance. Good evening, sir, and welcome to You and Your Money.
Good evening.
Mr. Deputy Prime Minister, the emergency proclamation has been extended until April 8th, 2020. With this extended curfew, many businesses, including roadside vendors, have suspended operations. Compiled with this closure are the two biggest resorts in the country due to tourism, Atlantis and Bahama. And of course, the exodus of our cruise ships.